presented its report to the president. The president followed up with a statement announcing the removal of the Chief Justice. What is your assessment, first of all, of how this whole matter has been handled from the petition stage to what happened yesterday?
Okay, there are two sides. The president's role he played and the Chief Justice's, the way she defended herself. To me, the president behaved strictly in accordance with the constitutional provisions. The Chief Justice, on the other hand, messed herself up. She hung herself. And there are at least 4 grounds upon which this conclusion is reached. First, he committed what in sociology we call petitio principii, meaning ignoring the most fundamental and going to deal with abstract. Instead of defending the charges that have been brought against her, she rather went on a tangent, presenting her character, herself, as a victim. You can see that right from the way she answered the petition when the president made it available to her. In which case, she was either badly advised or she didn't prove herself to be a Chief Justice knowledgeable about the law. Let me give you an example. When she responded to the petition early on, her first public revelation, she did so defending herself on the basis of the doctrine of res judicata. Res judicata means that you can't try a person for an offense that has been allowed to run to the point of judgment again for the same offense. But she's the head of the Supreme Court. She should know the law. That res judicata says the matter must have reached an end. The first time that she was sued by, I think, Azar, Kwiku Azar.
Yes.
President Akufo-Addo did not allow the process to go through the point of judgment. He just arrested the process in the middle. He didn't even go for prima facie determination. So, at that point, her case resembles that of an attorney general who enters a nolle prosequa. He cannot tie the hands of a succeeding attorney general that because I have entered a nolle prosequa, the defendant cannot be sued again. That is not the way res judicata as an estoppel defense should work. Then, instead of adopting
a radio station
that address the real issues, she went into areas that were peripheral, like demanding her right to waive the constitutional provision of bicameral hearing. That right doesn't belong to you. It's not a human right. As a civil right, it doesn't belong to anybody. It's a constitutional provision. So you cannot ask for it to be waived for you. That's another one. Then there was an arrogant stand. She, at a certain point, presented herself as a victim of political witch hunting. And this is where Martin Pebu even said that it was wrong for her to engage the former Attorney General as her counsel. Because this guy doesn't have any moral authority. This is a person who has been proved to lack the moral authority relative to the case against Japa, where a sitting judge even recommended that she should recluse himself. And then you go and hire him as your counsel. Then there was the attempt to bring the whole matter into the open, holding press conferences, going beyond Ghana's jurisdiction to invoke the jurisdiction of the ECOWAS court, when you know that as a Chief Justice, you should know that you need to exhaust local remedies before you do it. So it's very surprising that a Chief Justice heading the Ghana Judiciary should put up such a flawed and very bad defense strategy. She hung herself.
Flawed and very bad defense strategy.
Yes.
But there are those who say she had the right to defend herself in whatever forum she chose.
Yes, but she's a Chief Justice. She should know the law. She should know the extent to which you can go, the kind of sympathy you can get from the public, and you should present yourself as somebody knowledgeable of the law, rather than as a victim. She presented herself as a victim.
Did you think she was a victim? There were petitions against her seeking her removal.
She wasn't a victim because most of the issues have also come before her. Yesterday, I was listening to the Fiamapo, and he mentioned a petition that he sent to the Supreme Court regarding the payment of salaries to the spouses of the president and the vice president. And he mentioned that it was this same Chief Justice who sat on the issue and claimed that the spouses have no right to enjoy those kind of benefits. And yet, you give the benefits, the same benefits to your daughter. That is unacceptable. You can't have double standards. So how do you present yourself as a victim?
But there are those who also make the argument. An argument was made on this program this morning that this kind of issues that are raised in a petition are too lightweight to merit the removal of a Chief Justice. What do you say to those suggestions?
Senator, indeed, a low threshold for accountability is what we need to defend the independence of the judiciary and protect the rule of law and our democracy. Because without a low threshold, people behave with impunity. So, if the grounds upon which she was removed are frivolous, they are the best defense for our democracy. If public office holders were held to accountability with a low threshold, the fight against corruption would have some success. President Mahama has moved towards it by publishing the Code of Conduct for public officers. He should go a step further and see to the implementation of the code. We need a low threshold of accountability to protect our democracy against such nefarious activities of public office holders. You see, the lower the threshold for accountability, the stronger the defense for our democracy, the rule of law, and the independence of the judiciary. Don't forget that people in public office should start behaving like Caesar's wife. Conduct beyond reproach. And they should bear the greater responsibility for behaving like Caesar's wife.
Conduct beyond reproach.
Conduct beyond reproach. That is what we should hold our public officers accountable for.
You expect even a threshold lower than the one you said for someone who's a yam thief?
In fact, the Chief Justice should bear a threshold much, much lower because you sit in judgment of others. And you cannot sit in judgment over others and present yourself as above the law. And that is another mistake she made, that she was something special by virtue of her office. But by virtue of your office, you bear greater responsibility and a level of accountability that you cannot liken to the ordinary persons. Before the law, everybody is equal.
And then there's also the suggestion that this is a bad precedence. That when you remove a CJ, you set the ground for other removals in the future. In fact, the MPP have already threatened that they are coming after the CJ, that if President Mahama or the NDC leaves a CJ, they come to office to meet, they will make sure that Chief Justice is removed.
Well, for one, it's for armed. Right now, we have a Constitutional Review Committee. It is about time the power to appoint and dismiss the Chief Justice was removed from the presidency. We need a committee to appoint and dismiss a Chief Justice so that you take the politics out of the issue.
Let me come to this one, because this morning when I was speaking to the lawyer, another thing he spoke about was that the whole process, though it looks a process beyond that is basically unquestionable, look, the president followed the process. The commentary from those within the NDC, those who suggested that she will go, she must go, her time is up, while the process were ongoing, went into undermining the process and suggesting that this was all staged and planned. Do you think so?
This is another side of the petitio principii argument, using the consequences of an act to justify its existence. That's what we say in sociology. Every time that you are caught by the law, and they are caught by the law, the supporters, they jump from place to place. The arguments they offer are shared. Well, how do I put it? I can't find a word. But the term petitio principii is what I'm used to. And it means that you ignore the substance of the case and go for its ancillary elements to advance your argument.
And you think that's what they are doing when they make that argument?
You see, you may set a precedent. The question is, what is the value of that precedent? Does it protect the greater interest of the nation or protect the minor interests of individuals? Philosophically, I would say, let us protect the interests of the greater majority of our nation. The Constitution, the rule of law, the judiciary, these are the three elements that sustain a democracy. This woman, excuse me if I say this woman, her ladyship, made some administrative decisions that showed her outright bias and politicization of her administrative functions. Look at the way he removed the judge who was going to try Opuni and Agongo case, when Onanuga retired. The judge said, I'm going to try this matter de novo because, first of all, the transcripts have been so controversial that I cannot inherit a controversial proceedings. Secondly, I need to see the demeanor because it's part of a good judgment to see the demeanor of witnesses when they are giving their testimony. Immediately, this woman transferred the man. Why? And look at the alacrity with which she attended to the writ filed by Asenio Markin regarding that parliamentary thing involving the speaker. And her whole attitude was that the judiciary was outside the Constitution, that the judiciary is not part of the Constitution. That kind of behavior will not endear you as a supporter or champion of democracy or the rule of law. And if I may quote Kwekwas Azar again, a rogue chief justice is dangerous, more dangerous to the independence of the judiciary than an executive outreach. That's what Kwekwas Azar, and I agree with it.
A rogue chief justice is more dangerous.
Yes, more dangerous to the independence of the judiciary. Because you use administrative maneuvers to thwart the course of law and of justice, like it happened in the Opuni case.
Anyway, okay, so having happened this way, the position needs to be filled. Currently, there's an acting chief justice, Justice Bafoboni.
Yes.
Now, what do you expect from the president moving forward?
Well, the president has a choice. He can confirm Justice Bafoboni on the basis of his being an elder of the panel. Or he can go for somebody who he believes will hold the principle of justice more sacred than what we have seen. People say that President Mahama targeted this Chief Justice when he said that the Chief Justice must go. It was not this Chief Justice he was referring to. He was referring to his predecessor. I know something. What do you...
Okay, the man who came before her.
Yes, before her. Yes. He too was worse. Pandering to the whims and caprices of Akufo-Addo. And by the by, while we're talking about accountability, Akufo-Addo has still two years and some 4 months to go. So anybody who has a case against him better bring it. He shouldn't be made to escape.
He shouldn't be made to escape.
Yes, accountability. He has a lot to account for. the way he ran this country down to the ground. 2 years, 4 months he has. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay, so for you, what should he be held accountable for?
For running the economy down, for tolerating galamsey, for tolerating corruption, for clearing people who have been alleged to be corrupt. All kinds of things. His has been the worst government this country has ever seen, including military ones. He was the worst president we have ever had. He was a nightmare. A fascist who did not have national interest as his... Hitler and Mussolini, they were acting in the name of the national interest. He was acting in the name of a clan interest. Clan and crony and party interest. And yet he was practicing fascism.
Well, I see. But interestingly, when you talk about this, I wonder what form the accountability should take. Because what came to mind is prosecution, but I don't know what you're thinking about.
For me, the standard for our accountability should be set so low that office holders will be walking a tightrope, straight road. If you slip, you fall into it. That's what I believe accountability should be. Otherwise, we will have the punitive behavior, impunity behavior of most people. People have been citing that the infractions of using per diem for her daughter has been very low threshold because she could have been made to pay. She's a chief justice, for God's sake. She knows the law. And she, as the saying is, the head that wears the crown does not sleep easy. You wear the crown, and your head is always shaking. That's what we should be treating our public officers to.
Well, let me conclude then by asking you about, because ongoing is the Akwetia by-election. What do you expect from your party? What's the outcome that you're expecting? Let me put it that way.
Well, there is an opinion poll that says that the NDC will win. Akwetia is a very swing constituency. The MPP has won it 5 times, NDC 4 times. And each time, the decision or the outcome has been very controversial. The MPP is looking to its candidate to win because he's a minor. And Galamsey is ripe in the area. Those people in Akwetia must realize that if they support Galamsey, we are coming for them. No one should be able to escape the reach of anti-Galamsey fight. And it's about time President Mahama also looked towards the fight with much more seriousness. If by 2008 this Galamsey is not gone, some of us will campaign against the NDC.
If by 2028?
Yes.
If you say gone, because this has been there for so long. When you say
yes.
Gone, exactly what are you expecting?
Kill it. We'll kill it. I have proposed that the best approach is to flush the Galamseyers out with just 2 battalions, 1,000 men, infantry, supported by 2 platoons, 30 men each, engineers, Everywhere you clear them, you leave 50 men behind. Within 3 weeks, you clear them off. You don't tell the criminal or the armed robber that I'm going to find you a job before I put you in prison. These people are killing us. So all this, they don't have jobs and that kind of nonsense should stop. Illegal mining is not the only job. I think we've treated them with too much kid gloves.
Let me. I said I was going to conclude on that note, but I haven't talked about Akwetia. I remember that this is not the first time a by-election is happening in Akwetia. In fact, the very first time it became so popular because of this, they said the level of violence that led to Nana Aidoo famously saying that it will cry because it was a feeling that it was retaliating for Akwetia.
That was Atiwa.
But he said Akwetia preceded Itiwa.
That was during Baba Jamal's time.
Okay.
I think when he won, there was a controversy and there was violence, and they had to rerun some polling stations. I remember. At that time, I was the director of research at the NDCS. But these days, my memory doesn't serve me all right as to future developments which have taken place.
Okay. You remember some, not everything.
Yeah.
Well, always a pleasure talking to you, Doc.
My pleasure too. Thank you.